Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Jodas Hour. Today we have Evie Doezema right across from me, the second member from the women's volleyball team of Michigan State we had in Lonnie Osea a couple episodes ago. Before I start off this episode, I want to give a little bit of an announcement. We're going to be doing a little bit of charitable work for this episode. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month right now. Going to have all pink Jodas Hour sweatshirts, Jodas Hour shirts, all that stuff. Some Halloween designs as well, and all profits will be going to a breast cancer association. Well, Evie, now we're on to the interview. We're going to start this off.
Great.
Evie, you said this was your first time doing anything really like this. What has your media experience been throughout your career so far?
My media experience has been a lot of just post-game interviews, like through high school and college. I've done a couple with news channels, especially last spring we played in Grand Rapids at an event against Michigan. And so being from there, I met with a local news channel. And then just recently when we played Michigan last week, I did an interview with a news channel about that too. Just being local, I've had quite a few experiences or opportunities to meet with some people about that.
Yeah, a couple small interviews got you into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool to see. That's a lot more than a lot of the guests we've had on this show, so I'm excited to see how this goes.
Good.
So your volleyball journey started off in fourth grade. I want to know what's kind of the timeline been like for you throughout all of that?
Oh, okay. I started playing around fourth or fifth grade club, mostly just because my friends did it. I started basketball when I was really young. Being tall, my dad is 6'8", 6'7", my mom's 6 foot, so I grew really fast. So I started playing basketball, and then when my friends all got into volleyball, I thought, why not? Let's give it a shot. And then quickly, just with my height at a young age, kind of brought up to older levels, got to play up, which was really fun. And then I just fell in love with it. I did always enjoy basketball. I played up until my junior year of high school. But I just wasn't in love with the physicality of it. And I just loved volleyball and how much more of a team sport it was and how it felt. That playing club volleyball and school volleyball, that's where I've gotten all my best friends, like that team atmosphere. I played club in school, and that became my main sport definitely after 1 or 2 years of playing. And then when we finally realized recruiting was such a big thing so young at eighth grade, my parents were kind of like, wow, we kind of have to get on this. Like, if you're serious about playing volleyball. Before all the rules changed, we suddenly had some schools like kind of reaching out, and we had never done this before. And so my mom kind of took over and was like, okay, like we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure out what it takes to get you where you want to be. And that's when it kind of finally became a dream to play D1 volleyball, is because I finally realized I was like, oh yeah, like I could do this for a really long time. Like this could be my life, and I love it so much. So yeah.
I was going to ask you originally whether there was some big reasons that you switched from basketball and volleyball, just volleyball. It seems like you kind of just answered that physicality, team sport aspect. Yeah. I got a quote from one of your high school coaches that I actually want to bring up real quick, so it goes a little bit into that. Okay. It was from, correct me if I'm wrong in the pronunciation of this name, Betsy DeVries?
Betsy DeVries, yeah.
DeVries, okay.
Yeah.
Well, she said she continues to strive to improve and puts in the time and effort to grow personally as an athlete and a leader. Volleyball is the ultimate team sport. No one can do it alone, and Evie helps create an atmosphere where each team member feels valued. Was that something that developed naturally, or do you have to put a lot of time into being a leader?
Oh, definitely has to put a lot of time into it. I think a lot of people are born natural leaders, but being put in a situation doesn't just come easily. I think growing up, I was a very shy kid, just kind of nervous, always wanted to fit in. But definitely throughout high school, and I played varsity my freshman through senior year, and being around such strong individuals, and I had amazing girls to look up to when I was a freshman. A lot of girls I played with in high school went D1 and went to play on, and they were just such great leaders on the team that I kind of knew what I was going to become and I wanted to become on that team. And so as I got older and the younger girls started looking up to me, I think it, not naturally, but I definitely think I knew what I needed to do to be that leader. And I just kind of flowed right into it because I was seeing it demonstrated in front of me and being that younger player. And I just kind of knew that I needed to set the example and I needed to hold the younger girls to a standard as well as like be there as a mentoring or as a mentor and as like a shoulder to lean on when it was needed. So
When you came to Michigan State, did anyone kind of serve as that role for you as a mentor while you were the mentee?
yes, when I came in, we had a very new team, with a new coach and all the new players. And so yeah, at the beginning, it was a little rocky because no one really knew each other. And so we were all kind of looking around to see what it was going to be like, who was going to step up and who was going to be the leader. And I think a little bit of that new atmosphere, my shyness came back because, I mean, everyone knows what it's like to be a freshman in a new environment. And I definitely, Julia Bishop was a huge influence. I knew her back in high school. When I first committed to Michigan State, we had kind of connected, and immediately she was just so welcoming. And she just, even in high school, she seemed so set in who she was and what she was going to do and what she was going to accomplish in college. And coming in, as soon as she found out that I had committed, we had actually played each other maybe 2 weeks after I committed in a high school tournament. And she immediately came up to me and introduced herself and was like, I am so excited to be a teammate with you. Like, I'm so excited to get to know you. And then, especially coming in as a freshman, she immediately was like, do you need, like, let me know if you need anything. Like, you can trust me. And she was just so open and welcoming that I knew any doubts or fears I had about going into a D1 sport and the schedule and the intensity of it, like I could immediately ask her any advice I needed to.
You were talking a little bit earlier about how there's some people who are natural born leaders. Sounds like Julia Bishop's one of those. She's a team captain this year, right?
Definitely, yeah. She was last year and this year.
That's awesome to see. Since you've moved up from being a freshman to a sophomore, have you taken any new players under your wing a little bit?
I would say I have definitely grown a ton from freshman to sophomore year. The confidence in myself as a player, I think it's skyrocketed. I remember being a freshman and stepping on the court and I was nervous. My heart was racing every single time. And someone asked me the other day, like, oh, do you still get nervous? And obviously there's always a little bit of nerves when you're competing and performing like that, but I not ever to the same level as I did last year because I think I'm just much more confident in stepping out and getting stuff done and performing and knowing that I can perform, rather than having the fear of, oh, like what will happen to me if I don't perform well. Like I know even if I go out there and have a bad game, like everyone has a bad game and I can turn around and just go to practice the next day and kill it. And so I think of some of our freshmen coming in obviously had that same mentality as me, like being a little bit on the nervous side. And I think just one thing I've tried to do with the freshmen is kind of pull them aside and just be like, hey, are you okay? Like, don't worry about it. Shake it off. Like, it's completely fine. And just kind of give them a smile. And I am a very positive person. And so I was like, I don't want people to dwell on those mistakes like I did. And so just making sure that they can calm down and like don't think about it too hard. And yeah.
I think it was a quote from you ever see the show Swagger by any chance? It was produced by Kevin Durant.
I don't.
No worry, you're good. Almost nobody has seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I brought up like 5 different people. I've gotten, I think, 5 no's. I have never seen that show.
Fair.
But the reason I bring it up is because there's a point in the show where the coach is talking. It's Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., is talking to the player in the game. And he's saying, you're so focused on making mistakes that you're making them naturally. You're focused on what you're going to do wrong instead of just playing the way you play. I think that you being a positive influence, keeping their energy up is just huge and making sure they don't do that. And while we're talking about that positive influence you bring to the court, every time that I've announced a game, every time I've watched a volleyball match, you're in there screaming, you're the one smiling, getting everyone hyped up. Even if you guys are down a couple points, you're getting them back into the right mindset. How has that been something that just developed in your game?
Oh, well, I think, again, like with that level of confidence playing this year, I'm just a very energetic and happy person. Like everyone on the team just calls me a very much like golden retriever type. And even if I am stressed or mad, I really try not to show it because I know that that can affect other people. Um, and so on the court, I know I get pumped up when people are just in my face screaming and like shoving me around. And so of course, like I want to give that energy back. Even if I'm not the one who's having the best game, like if I can give that to someone else and like keep them going and give them the energy, that's what I can do. Like there's not much you can do if you're having a bad game. So do what you can and control the controllables like we talk about.
Yeah, just gotta stay in reality. I have to bring this up to you because I need answers on this, Evie. Can you explain the Wolfpack to me?
Oh, so me and my teammates, Rachel and Grace Kelly, Rachel Meisinga and Grace Kelly, we became really close last spring, end of this season. And it just, I forget how we got the name. But we just became so close. And I think, as I say, I don't know if this is good to talk about on on the interview, but you know the movie The Hangover?
Yeah, of course.
So we love that movie. It was just hilarious. Zach Galifianakis, love him. And in the movie, he talks about in the first movie how he's like a lone wolf, and then he finds his wolf pack. And we bonded so much over that movie. And so I don't remember who made a joke about it, but like they made the joke about how we were like the wolf pack and how we like each related to a character kind of. And so then that's kind of just where that started. And I don't know how everyone else on the team found out about it, but like people on the team will like reference us as that. But yeah, like us three are kind of inseparable. And me and Rachel lived together last year, and then Grace moved in with us this year. So it's kind of even more inseparable. But yeah, we're just really, really close. And it's just a great friendship to find here.
I don't know how I never made the connection in The Hangover. I love that movie. It makes one of the greatest speeches in all of movie history is that Wolfpack speech.
Exactly.
But one thing I saw that you guys did was that little bit of the MJ pose that you guys struck at Media Day.
Yeah.
How are Media Days, and how is the process of that? It seems like a lot of fun from the outside. I imagine it's pretty fun on the inside.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I was going to say we each get to do our individual photos. And then it's really nice that they give us an opportunity to do like our own individual outfits too, to show like a personality post. But yeah, then when we get in our jerseys and we do the videos, we all go into groups together to do it. And then if you're the one getting videotaped or photographed, then you got your group of players and teammates behind you that are just cheering you on and hyping you up. Like they'll play music sometimes and just like joke around with you as you pose. And yeah, so when us three found out we were in a group together for that, we were like, okay, we immediately need group photos. And Grace Kelly, she is a huge Michael Jackson fan. So she was like, if we're doing this, like if we're doing group photos, we're going to do this. And that's where that came from.
No, it came out awesome. I was talking with Milani about that a little bit. One thing I want to dive into a little bit. You and Avery Harashi, you guys got tattoos on the same day together. I saw a video of that. You got the birds on your forearm, I believe is what it was. How did that experience come together? Did you guys just decide one day we should get some tattoos together?
Well, we're both, we were really close last year. We're really close. We have very similar personalities. And I don't remember why. I think at the end of season or during spring season, whatever it was, we were just both talking because we were both very adamant about tattoos, which both really like them, have multiple. And I think she was talking about one she wanted to get, and I'd said like, oh, I want to get these birds. And then one day we were just like, let's just go together. Why not? Like making an event. And she had come with me when I had gotten my, I think, second tattoo, like just to hold my hand because I was so nervous. Surprisingly, because it was my second, but yeah. And then after that, we just kind of bonded over that, like our love for them, oddly enough. And yeah, we just decided, and we keep talking more and more about different ones we want to get. And so I feel like it's going to become probably a usual thing.
It's going to be a second time you guys do that. It could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I saw Nalani was there. Did she get a tattoo, or was she kind of just overseeing you guys?
She was just overseeing us. So I think she's been talking about getting one, but I think she's waiting.
Yeah, had to see the reaction of the needle, see how much it hurts first. Yeah.
A lot of my friends who have never gotten them are just like, I kind of want to just come and watch. I'm like, yeah, because when people say like you get addicted, like it's kind of true. Like once you get one or multiple, like you kind of do get addicted, and it's definitely you just get used to it. So when other people who haven't want to come with me, I just think it's really funny because I'm like, yeah, come with. It's like such a normal thing to me now. I think I have like 11 or 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a real thing that you could get like, kind of tattoo addiction.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes a bunch of sense. I've everybody that gets one, I feel like they end up with a sleeve or at least a couple more matching ones. No, that's cool. So one player I want to talk with you about a little bit too is Jalen Swain. You guys seem like you're pretty close. Seen plenty of videos of you guys together. Is that just because you guys are sophomores, or how'd that kind of come?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it is sophomores coming in together. She's really close with Meredith O'Gorman, and me and Meredith grew up knowing each other really well. We've known each other since high school, freshman year of high school. And so us three were pretty close. Our incoming freshman year. But yeah, we kind of gotten into a rhythm of doing TikToks together, which is where that friendship sprouted from. But yeah.
No, that's a cool connection that you have, though. Obviously, when you guys come as the same grade, it makes sense you're going to make some natural connection. The TikToks, one thing I saw throughout there as well is that you have a little bit of art interest. You did a little bit, was it custom cornholes? Was that what it was?
Yeah, that was my mom's birthday present.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah.
They looked like they came out awesome. Has art been something that's always been big in your life, or how has that been?
Yeah, I got really into art when I was really young. My grandmother and I painted a lot together. We have a cottage out. One of my best memories is we have a cottage out on Lake Michigan, right on the beach, and we would sit on our back deck, watch the sunset, and just paint together. When I was as young as like 10. And yeah, that's always definitely been an interest, and I still try to do it sometimes, but my schedule makes it hard. But yeah, painting, pencil drawing, it's always been a really relaxing thing for me. So
you said that developed through hanging out with your grandma too. You used to do it with her. Have you always been close to your grandma? Has that been something in your life?
Yeah, she's definitely a big influence on my life. She is just probably one of my number one supporters. She's almost at everything. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I gotta ask, is there a specific reason you wear number 12 on your jersey, or is that kind of just your favorite number right now?
I chose it in high school, my freshman year, and then just wore it throughout high school. And I figured if I can keep it, why not? Just felt like it kind of just, after I chose it, it kind of stuck. And I was like, well, it just became special, I feel like.
Yeah,
because of that.
Started to make sense, started to work, and that became your number. Every time I see number 12, because I'm from New England, I was thinking TB12, Tom Brady, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Really hoping he somehow snuck his influence out to Grand Rapids. Couldn't tell.
No, not quite.
No, I imagine more of a Matt Stafford fan or a Jared Goff fan now with the Michigan connection. Are you a Detroit Lions fan?
Somewhat, as much as a Michigander can be.
Yeah, have a little bit of optimism, but you know.
I say I've never been a huge NFL watcher, more college, definitely. But yeah, I guess if I had to choose anyone, it'd definitely have to be the Lions.
Yeah, are you excited for the PVF to open by any chance? The Pro Volleyball Federations, and there's going to be more televised volleyball?
I am. With the new team coming into Grand Rapids, I know that's been a huge talk for my family because they're like, well, this is a huge option for you to come and stay close to home and keep playing if you want. Especially with Kathy George coaching it, which is crazy having that connection. And then actually my old club, Michigan Volleyball Academy, has a deal with them too. So I keep seeing them post a lot about it. So yeah, that's a really cool option, especially for volleyball players who want to stay in the States and don't love the idea of going overseas and playing there. Like, that's so cool, especially with how big volleyball is getting. I can definitely see this becoming a very much highly watched thing.
Yeah, you were just talking about a second ago. If you want to play professionally, you had to go overseas. You kind of had to spend some time in Europe, maybe in even farther east. But now you got a chance to stay in the States, got a chance to actually make money, stay in the industry that you love doing. Is that something that you think you might pursue after college?
You know, I've thought about it. I've definitely had multiple conversations with my coaches about going overseas. The tough part is it's after undergrad, it's kind of you would either go to graduate school or you'd go to play overseas. So then it kind of depends if at my senior year, if I do feel like I want to keep playing and I'm not ready to give it up and choosing that route and then kind of leaving school to deal with later, or if I want to just go into school right away. And I've talked to my mom quite a bit about the beach route too, because if you play 4 years of court, you are actually still eligible for 3 years of beach because it's technically a different sport. So then there's been conversations about that and then going to graduate school and doing that. So I definitely have looked at multiple options, and the idea of staying in the States is pretty cool, especially in my hometown. But yeah, I think that's definitely going to be down the road. I feel like I will have to make that decision when I'm a senior and see how my body feels and see time-wise where I'm at for that.
Yeah, still plenty of time to decide that. If you got to do the beach volleyball route, all the top programs for regular volleyball are kind of in the Midwest right now. Nebraska, Wisconsin, we got Michigan up, a bunch of those up there right now. Just the general area right here, pretty cold. Obviously, we know that winter's coming right now. But if you play beach volleyball, could possibly go out to California, get some time outside, actually enjoy the sun. Could be pretty nice.
That sounds really nice. As much as I love staying close to home for college, there's absolutely an appeal to going far away and visiting and living somewhere else in the country. And that idea of playing beach out there would be really, really cool.
Yeah, one thing that I saw is you seem like you're really into travel. Saw a couple things, Machu Picchu, you're kind of near in Peru, down in Yosemite. Is travel just something that you love in your life, or how is that kind of come?
Yeah, I've always loved travel. The Machu Picchu thing, my high school had a really cool experience offered. It was, we call it Wintrum, and it's the 2 weeks after winter break that they offered a bunch of different classes as well as trips that you could take with an assigned 2 to 3 teachers, and then you could sign up and pay a certain amount. And so I got to do that Peru trip and with 25 classmates and peers, which actually 9 of them were some of my best friends in high school. We decided to all get on it together. And yeah, so we flew down to Peru and just kind of hopped around the country and then did Machu Picchu for 2 days, which is by far one of the best experiences of my life. It's amazing. And that's, if people ever ask me like, oh, what trip have you been on that you would suggest to someone else? It'd absolutely have to be that one, hands down. But yeah, travel has always been huge. My mom was a big traveler especially when she was in college and she was young. She's been to backpacked around Alaska. She did international trips to China and then with the kids, me and my 2 brothers, getting older throughout our years, she has taken us to multiple national parks. So we've been across the country too, which has been amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So far, what I've heard about your mom, you were talking about earlier during the recruiting process, she was a big part of that. She also helped you with the travel side. Is she kind of just been a big influence in your life throughout the entirety of it? Obviously, everyone loves their mom. That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
But it seems like you've got a little bit extra. She's been a little bit more independent in helping you out with that stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My mom is definitely the person I'm the closest to in my entire life. Like, she has just been by my side through everything. She's, like you said, very independent. With the recruiting, she immediately stepped up and was like, I'm going to do my research. And she had the files and she had all this color coordination and she knew exactly what schools emailed me on what weeks. And like, she had that down to a T, which was so funny because I just kind of had to sit back and she almost became my manager, which was so funny. And yeah, so we became really close through that whole process and she's just helped me with everything, every step of the way throughout life.
Yeah, that's great. It's always nice when you see someone's parents just taking an active role like that. Then also, for anyone watching, if you haven't said you love you to your mom, make sure you do that soon.
Agreed.
Yeah, you have to do that. my mom's like the closest supporter I have. It's just huge. You need that support. One thing I do want to talk about a little bit is NIL. How has NIL been in your life? Have you had any NIL deals going on, or have you interacted with any of that, or how has it been the process for you?
We had a team NIL. I remember when I got introduced, it was kind of iffy because no one had really known how it was working or what was going on quite, but we had an awesome opportunity to do an NIL deal with our team for MSU FCU, which lasted, I think, around 8 months, which was pretty cool. But otherwise, I have been looking into a couple NIL deals. It's been challenging with season. But yeah, the opportunity for athletes, that's amazing. Very cool experience.
Oh, complete game changer. It changes it from you're forced to go into the league at a certain point for people to play football, people to play basketball.
Yeah.
If you want to do volleyball, you got to decide if you want to do overseas or how you're going to pay for college at points. Now the fact that you can actually make money and actually build a brand, it's huge.
Yes, especially for when people talk about saving money for after college. With like being a student athlete, you don't have that option to get a job and have that extra time to earn money. And this is just that option that has been great, especially to get your name out there. And I just love the idea about how if someone gets an NIL deal, like more businesses can see that and they like bring in more influence through NIL deals. Like more businesses are going to be looking for those people, and really cool experience.
Yeah, I think what's huge is people for some reason forgot that college sports are still a job years ago. Now they're finally recognizing it. As you said, you can't really just get a job when you're already working every day, you're practicing every day. It's still a job, even if it's more fun than the average job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very cool to see. We had Jake Spadafora on last time I had an episode. He gave me one of the probably coolest sponsors I've seen so far. It was Auntie Anne's, actually, which very cool. I'm a big fan of their pretzels. Yeah, very cool to see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that's what's really cool, too, is it's not just like it's Nike, it's Under Armour. You get those tiny brands, or not tiny, but smaller, more unique brands. And you got Auntie Anne's, you might have a cotton candy manufacturer, a bunch of different ones. I think it shows a little bit more personality, if I had to say.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to say, when people have talked, because all the teams usually do meetings about NIL just to inform us. And every time we have a meeting, they're like, oh, just think about what you're interested. Like, it can be anything. And that's kind of weird to me. It's like, it doesn't really have to be volleyball related or sports related. Like, just because your name kind of surrounds volleyball, it doesn't mean you can only advertise stuff about volleyball, which is cool. And it opens up so many more opportunities.
Oh, for sure. It shows your personality. It's a big thing of separating yourself from the sport, which people used to struggle with all the time when they were just intertwined with everything. Now it's a little bit more open. So while we're still in that vein, opensponsorship.com, I got to check this real quick. Is that a real thing that people can pay for you to have an appearance somewhere, to post a social media thing, or would I get scammed on the internet by that?
Open sponsorship.
Have you ever heard of that?
I don't think so.
I knew it. I knew this was a real thing. I've never actually paid for anything there. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's not like I sent some random guy $50 for you to show up on the show and hope that worked out. That's not what happened. But I've seen it for almost every athlete that I've interviewed. There's a website called opensponsorship.com. You can sign up for it. It says you can pay for them to make an appearance. Yeah,
we'll look this up.
Double check to make sure real quick. Make sure that we're not ragging on something that's actually real or anything.
Yeah.
But no, every time I've seen it, it says that you can pay for them to make an appearance at your event. You can pay for them to make a sponsored post. I don't really think it's how it works, especially if you ever. I don't think I've actually seen an athlete who has fully heard of it.
You know, it sounds so familiar. So I feel like I definitely should know what it is, but that's why I'm definitely looking it up.
No, you're good. So what's just very confusing about the website is just whether it's a real thing.
I have an old friend from, well, I guess not friend, but peer from high school, whose dad does NIL business. And I've actually worked with him and have like a signed contract with him that if he finds me deals, that their business gets 20% and I get 80% of like of the fundings that we get from it. But yeah, I'm trying to think. That's their AIM NIL, if you've ever heard of them. But yeah, open sponsor. It just sounds familiar, but I don't think I've ever used it.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that's a real thing that some people use. I just had to check because it's popped up for you, popped up, I believe, for Nalani. A couple other people have popped up for. Just want to know if it was a real thing, because I can't imagine that they're paying you to fly out somewhere, make an appearance at an event.
Never been asked to.
Right. So. It seems like a little bit of a weird vein for college athletes to be going into. Like, can you give us a motivational talk at my golf meeting real quick? Like,
it's like, I don't know anything about golf, but you got it.
Yeah, you paid the $50. I got you. It's no worries.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about a little bit is I saw that you're into some musicians, a couple rappers like Mac Miller and stuff. Is music a big part of your life by any chance, or is that something that you just enjoy?
I would say music's a big part of it. I sometimes think I have a soundtrack to my life because I always have my headphones in. But yeah, I guess I haven't been influenced a ton by it, but it's just I feel like I always have music going. And I have a very wide range of music that I like. And I kind of go through spurts of what I'm enjoying. Like right now, I've been huge into like older rock. Like Rubber Band Man, it probably plays once a day for me in my car. that, like Ballroom Blitz, if you know these songs, like classic like dad music that I grew up on, that I bonded with my dad over. Just getting back into that. But yeah, Mac Miller, Drake, Travis Scott, A$AP Rocky, and then I'm also into a lot of like alternative bands, the Backstreet Lovers. If you know the local one, Pretty Jane, or what is it? Like Mountain Joy, like a lot. I've got a big genre, big range.
Yeah, widespread. It's not just rap or just pop or anything.
Exactly.
No, that's cool. I actually took a long time to get into Mac Miller. I love Mac Miller now, though. I listen to him all the time.
He's one of those artists where it's like you find a song and then you dive in and you realize that he does not have a song that's bad. Like, no. He does not miss.
Genuinely. There was one time I tried falling asleep. This one was a weird experience. I tried falling asleep to one of his songs, and then the last, 7 or 8 minutes where it was a lady talking about her affair and divorce, and that one really threw me for a loop. I was sitting there like, am I dreaming this right now?
There's an odd amount of the songs though that end in moaning, and I'm like, oh, because then I'll be sitting in the car maybe with my little brother or my parents, and then all of a sudden I'll forget that it comes on, and then I hear it and I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, you're fumbling, reaching for it, trying to skip it right away.
Oh crap. But no, love him.
Yeah, so I want to know, you switched from outside hitter to middle blocker between last year and this year. How was that switch? It's obviously tough switching out position at times.
I knew this question was coming. Yeah, I played outside all of my life and got recruited as an outside. We have a lot of a lot of pin hitters on our team. And last spring, we had, I think, maybe 2 middles. And my coach kind of came to me and was like, hey, I could see a future in you playing middle, because you look very natural there, because she just kind of threw me in at one point. And so then she was like, hey, we are going to try and cross train you as a middle and a pin hitter. And I was like, okay, I could see that being kind of fun. I've only played middle once, and it was my sophomore year of high school. It was only for a really short period of time. But when I agreed to it, I was very nervous at first, because I was like, I am going to be doing this whole new position as a sophomore in college, D1, competing with all these other D1 athletes who have been training to be a middle for their entire lives. And so I was like, crap, training as a middle and then also training as a pin hitter. Am I going to just kind of get lost here? Am I going to lose the opportunity to play as a pin if I train as a middle? Kind of worried about that. And then throughout the spring, I played a lot more middle and actually started to enjoy it a lot. So then coming into the season, I became a full-time middle at first. And I did enjoy it. And shockingly, I've played a lot more than I thought I would, which I've actually really enjoyed. And then all of a sudden she was like, okay, now we're going to put you on the right side and we're going to train you there. And it's been a lot of back and forth, but I've also enjoyed it because I think my coach, she's voiced a lot of appreciation for my versatility, and I've enjoyed it completely, or I've enjoyed it a lot, being able to switch like that. One thing I thought was crazy was in our game against Minnesota yesterday, although it was not the outcome we wanted, we were able to run so many different things. There was a rotation where she had me hit outside, and then I was blocking as a middle, and then I hit right side. And as crazy as it is, I love it because I know that I have I can have a spot on the court, and I can be an influence on the court no matter where she needs me. And as much as it took some getting used to, I've really grown into that role of just kind of being being what she wants or what she needs in that moment. If I need to play middle, I've gotten to that confidence of being able to step in as a middle, even though I've only been a middle for maybe 5 months now. But I've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, you got through the growing pains. Now you can work that Swiss Army knife, kind of getting slotted in everywhere. Exactly. That's pretty awesome. So with Coach Leah Johnson, last year was her first year. It was your first year. Now you guys both had a full season with the team. You had a full off season after that. What has kind of the shift been from last year to this year, would you say, in the locker room?
Oh, last year I felt like everyone being new and coach being new, everyone was almost, I don't want to say tense, but there was always a question mark with everything because none of us knew quite how she functioned, and none of us knew how each other functioned. A lot of people transferring in, obviously coming from different programs, used to different coaching, freshmen coming in, not used to any D1 coaching. Like, we all didn't really know how it was going to go. And I think we definitely struggled. But a lot of that came with being just so new as a team. And then I think this fall has been a complete 180 because we know exactly like the standard we are trying to meet, the standard we are setting as a team. We know how each other play, what gets each other fired up. Like, we know how the coaching staff is going to encourage us and push us, and we can take that better. I think a big thing last year, especially for me, was taking constructive criticism. In just that freshman role, I think I struggled with that a lot. But after a full year, I came back and I knew exactly what was asked of me and what I had, like, I could prepare for it. And I just think this year we've been just a well-oiled machine, and we know exactly what we're after and what we're going for. And even if we don't get the outcomes we want in certain games, like, we know we are on the upward track, and we're just going to keep working for it as a team. And everyone just has the same mindset about that.
Yeah, program's already improved tremendously last year, this year. You mentioned the fact that you guys were a little bit tense at the beginning. I feel like when you play loose, when you're having fun with it, when everyone knows what everyone's supposed to do, you just act as way more of a cohesive unit. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, and that's something you can totally tell on the court. If any team comes out and just is already tense or nervous, like, you can tell there's just an energy. As I say, watching from the sidelines, I don't know if fans can tell, but like, if you are in that atmosphere, you can tell when a team is with it and in their rhythm and in their groove, or if they are tense and just playing as individuals, which we talk a lot about. Because when teams play as individuals, we talk about how, like, communication goes down and energy goes down, and even if we're winning points, like, we don't celebrate. Like, you can tell like that. But yeah, when we're loose, everyone's smiling, everyone's screaming and cheering their heads off, and yeah, it's been great.
There's not much better celebrations than seeing you guys after it's been a hard-fought set, you guys win, and everyone, especially you, I've seen you many times, Evie, where you just slam the hands down, start screaming. It's so hype. It's awesome.
That's good. So say, I've actually gotten surprisingly some good photos out of it this year.
Oh,
so yeah,
Nice.
last year, my cheering, everyone makes fun of me, and they called me that, like, they say that I have crazy eyes, because when I scream, apparently my eyes get super big and like bug out of my head. And so this year, everyone was complaining. They were like, your crazy eyes went away. You don't have your crazy eyes anymore. Instead, I like somehow picked up the fists, like throwing my fist down or pointing at people. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that I switched up. Probably good for the photos, but everyone else seems to miss them.
Yeah, they're nostalgic for the crazy eyes.
Apparently, yeah.
That's too good. So you said the Minnesota game wasn't the exact result you guys wanted. One thing that was a big result that I imagine you guys are very happy about, that whole Michigan series, getting the first sweep in many years. What was kind of the atmosphere in the locker room after that? Was everyone just freaking out, or how was it?
Yeah, everyone was pumped, especially for our resident Michigan people, Julia, Meredith, me, Avery, who know the true rivalry. We were just pumped, just like screaming and dancing and singing. This was a huge moment for all of us. And obviously the out-of-towners and the internationals, they're starting to understand the real rivalry and what it takes and what it's like to be a Michigan State fan against a Michigan team, and they got into it too, which was really fun as a team.
Nice, yeah. I know it takes a little bit of time for people to adjust to it, but once you realize that rivalry is the real thing, it gets pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout this year, you guys have improved, but also one thing that is very cool to me, the attendance stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That part's awesome. Last year, you guys were top 10 in the country in attendance every single game. This year, you guys set the Breslin Center record for volleyball of attendance with over 8,000 people. Broke the last attendance record by over 1,000 against Nebraska. What does that type of support for the sport do for you guys?
It's so cool. Moving to Breslin, obviously I didn't get to play in Jenison, but I did get to watch the team when I was in high school there. And as much as Jenison has been a part of our team's culture, it's not as the atmosphere we wanted. And so I think it was so influential when Leah Johnson stepped in and was like, no, we want the Breslin. We want that big atmosphere to fill with a crowd was so cool and so special for this team. And there's definitely some games at first last year where it felt empty. The gym kind of felt dead. Just with the crowd we would pull in such a big arena like the Breslin. But as the sport's grown and as people find out that we were in the Breslin, like last year, I found out not a lot of people actually knew that we were there. As people have found out we play in the Breslin and as the sport has been growing so much, the crowds just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that atmosphere to be in is just so special. And I don't even know how to describe it. When we always talk about how exciting it is when we open up the third curtain, because I mean, usually when it's closed, it looks like we have a big crowd. But yeah, when that third balcony row, when that opens, we know it's gonna be crazy, and it's just so cool because it just is mind blowing how many people are actually into volleyball and want to be there and support us, and it's surreal.
It's weird to think about how excited you can get from just one curtain opening, but when I was at that Nebraska game, when that curtain started getting pulled back, I could just feel the energy change in the arena.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, obviously it's nothing compared to 93,000 people in a football field, which is amazing, and that's unreal for Nebraska. That must have been such an amazing moment for them. But yeah, just to see MSU fans coming out and supporting us and getting our own record for attendance has been so special because it just shows that even though the sport's growing, MSU volleyball is growing too. It's very personal with that growth.
Yeah, from your side as a player, because everybody gets different perspectives on this, whether you're inside or outside the sport, the growth is amazing to see. But is there any specific factors or reasons that you think it's been so exponential this year?
I think a lot of it has come from just the interest in young girls. I know over the years, volleyball has just become a number one sport for young girls. And with that, I think parents and family members have become more involved in the sport. And especially with how big it's getting in college, more girls are wanting to go D1, more people are wanting to play in college. And I think with that desire from young girls all the way up into college, I think it's bringing in more of an interest in other people because they're like, oh, why do so many people love this sport? What's so great about it that this is becoming so big? And so more people are getting drawn in and really getting to experience the love of volleyball. And I think that's just such a special thing because people are actually able to see past these big men's sports and just get to open up into what's so great about women's sports. And volleyball, as much as I know men's volleyball is big out on the West Coast, being in the Big Ten, not many men's teams are here. So I think it's just such an amazing moment for women's volleyball to shine. Just being that great influence for young girls and great leaders for them to look up to. And yeah.
Women's sports really have been on the rise so much. Even women's basketball, Caitlin Clark, we've all seen what's going on in Iowa.
Yeah.
Angel Reese last year with LSU. It's just so huge what's happening. It's a complete shift. And with volleyball, it's just something where once you play the game, you kind of just get attached to it immediately.
Oh, yeah.
I got recruited to join IM volleyball team. I've been thinking about it for days now. I'm so excited for the next match. It's so fun. It's a really fun sport.
Yeah. As I say, it's also one of those sports that, as complicated as it can be, pretty much anyone can give it a try. I can imagine at the IM level, it's just pretty simple, but yeah, it's one of those sports that anyone can try and just fall in love with it.
Yeah, what I'm doing is nowhere near what you're doing. You guys have like set plays. I'm just going out there having fun.
Yeah, you're just swinging a ball over the net.
Yeah,
like it's yeah.
If I can even get over the net, I'm freaking out there. I'm pumping the fist, doing a little downside.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, I caught a little bit from you guys. I kind of copy your celebrations at the
Okay.
IM
Love
leagues.
it.
You know how it goes. We keep the energy up in there.
Awesome.
But no, that's really cool. I think that's just awesome to see that they're finally getting the respect that you guys deserve. You guys are still athletes. I don't really know where that type of negative connotation stuff came from. It's nice to see that's getting shaken off at least now. And people are finally giving you guys respect. I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you were kind of looking forward to in the future of volleyball, would you say, whether it's the multiple leagues opening up right now, the fact that it's becoming more of a respected sport worldwide, or is it kind of just you're excited about how the natural growth is going?
I would just say I'm excited about the natural growth. Yeah, I mean, constantly records are being broken right now. And I just think that's great to see everyone, especially just individual teams, getting their attendance, like we talked about, attendance records broken, and just seeing how big it's getting has been awesome.
Would you say a big reason or even not big reason, but a reason that's getting a lot more popularity among young women and young girls is the fact that the injury risk really isn't that high compared to a lot of sports? You can still get injured in volleyball, but soccer, everyone knows that you get so many concussions from heading the ball. Would you say that has any impact on it or not really?
I guess I didn't really think about it much. I could see that being a factor. I honestly, it was part of the reason I chose it. Like I said, I played basketball and I hated the physicality of getting elbowed in the ribs and getting like an elbow to the nose going up for a shot. So I could see that. I don't know if I'd say it's the main reason, but it's definitely probably has an influence.
Yeah, that's why I had to really correct it from a big reason to just one of the reasons, because I don't think that's the reason. It's the fact that the sport's fun. It's awesome to play, awesome to watch, and it's just something that's growing so much right now. I do think there's a small factor of the injury fact that if you get hit in the head with a volleyball, it's a lot less detrimental than getting hit by even a basketball or soccer ball in the head.
Yeah.
I would assume it's at least small, partial.
I was going to say, it still brings its fair share of injuries. They might not be as detrimental as other sports, but I was going to say multiple rotator cuffs are getting overused, and the amount of bruising you get from diving all over the floor and passing balls coming at you like 50 miles an hour, or like how hard girls are hitting now. And yeah.
You know, concussions are always what the talk of the sports world is for injuries. Right? Completely forgot about the small bruises you'd get from diving around. That has to take a toll on your body. It's still hardwood.
Yeah. We thankfully play on Terraflex, which is kind of plushier, which is nice to dive on and slide. But I was going to say, if you're, especially Nalani, just hitting the floor every single point, like I swear, every volleyball player ends up getting a bruise after they play and don't know how they got it. You get random ones. It's so strange.
Just wake up with a ghost bruise.
Exactly.
Just have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Would you say there's anything from your teammates throughout the last 2 years that you've kind of learned, whether it's about the sport, whether it's about life, just any life lessons you've gotten from being around that many different people?
One thing that I've saw is enjoying the time I have in the sport. It's just finally being in college and seeing these seniors graduate and realizing they're not going to play volleyball on like an actual team ever again has been so crazy to me, because it's kind of put it in perspective how close I actually am to that. I mean, obviously there's the option of going to play overseas and stuff, but it's like moving on from having this solidified close bond with my teammates is obviously scary. And I feel like just the lesson would be like enjoying it while you have it, and enjoying it through the hard and the rough, and knowing that you're growing as a person through it all. And yeah.
Appreciate that answer. I gave you kind of a loaded question with no preamble beforehand,
That's
so
okay.
that was really good on the spot.
Good.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. So we're about running out of time right now. Want to thank you so much for coming on, Evie. Is there any shout-outs you'd like to give to anybody who helped you get to this point in your life, point in your career, any companies, anything like that? Shout-outs are all yours right now.
Okay. I guess just going off of our interview, shout out to my mom for being such an influence. Shout out to all my coaches, head coach Leah Johnson, Jake Baru, Chung, Maddie, all of them. They have just been the most amazing coaching staff. I know I hear plenty of horror stories about people going to college and falling out of love because of the coaching staff or because of the schedule, and they've just made it the most amazing experience, and I'm just so happy I'm here doing it. And so thank you to them. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming on, Evie. That was episode 31 of the Jodas Hour. We'll be back. We got a couple more interviews lined up. Not going to be a long break this time. We're going to be back very soon. Make sure you check out those breast cancer awareness sweatshirts that we're putting out there, and I will see you in the next episode.